Welcome back into our studios. I'm Madison Hawk, thrilled to be with you ahead of the Pelicans versus the Spurs. These two teams meeting for the second time in 2 nights from the Smoothie King Center. And that is where we find Spurs analyst Sean Elliott. And Sean, I got to say, I heard you talking to Dan at the beginning of the show about all that great food in New Orleans. I made the mistake of working in New Orleans when I was about 6 months pregnant. So I didn't have a food that I didn't like. Right. Then when I got home, I had to go run like 6 miles a day. So I'm feeling you on that.
Yeah, tell me about it. Claudia and I, after dinner last night, walked throughout the hallway in the hotel just to try to walk our meal off. I thought they were going to call security on us. I mean, that's how decadent our meals were.
Hey, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Well, Chris Paul making an impact not only on the court, but off the court. He's a 19-year veteran, and that's saying something. Not many guys can have that type of resume for that long. But now more than ever, with Victor Wembanyama being out for the remainder of the season, how important is it to have a guy like CP3 in the locker room to help some of these younger guys get through things when they may not be going the way that they initially planned?
Yeah, I think we're all aware of what Chris Paul brings to the table and how he affects and impacts every single team that he's been on. You look at this guy, he's made every single team he's been on better. And I can't, say enough about his leadership qualities, what he brings to the table, having another extension of a coach out there on the floor. But when you talk about veteran voices and veteran leaders in the locker room, Madison, he's at the top of the list because it's easy for a lot of players to forget that, hey, our coaches actually once played this game, and a lot of them were pretty good players. It's hard for a lot of players to remember that. And even though players look for reassurances from their coaches, you get more when it's your peers, when it's been guys that have been there for a few years, guys that have been around the league, and they're encouraging you, and they show confidence in you, and they're showing you what position you're supposed to be in defensively, how you handle the dog days of the season. And so those guys, when you talk about Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, they're invaluable to this team.
Yeah, Sean, and to your point, CP3's ability to just stay consistent and have that steady presence inside the locker room and on the court as well has been a huge key to the Spurs' success. It's noted that around the league, guys who have played with CP3, they feel his impact, and guys that haven't even played with CP3 feel that impact as well. Zion Williamson, the Pelicans superstar, had this to say about CP3.
Like I said, CP's resume speaks for itself. And, we did spend some time together overseas this past summer. And, I got to give him his respect. He gave me a lot of wisdom, not just on the court, but off the court as well. And so funny. Off the court, great dude, man. Great dude. But on the court, you can see his competitive side really come out. And, that's what makes him who he is. But, off the court, he's one of the best dudes I've been around.
Yeah, you can tell Zion Williamson has a lot of love for CP3. But, Sean, you also mentioned Harrison Barnes, another veteran inside the Spurs locker room. And I want to ask you, you played in this league for a really long time. What's the difference in having a player voice as your leadership versus also having that coach's voice as well, especially in times when they really need people to rally around?
Yeah, it's kind of what I alluded to earlier there, Madison, where you have a guy like Harrison Barnes or Chris Paul that will come and speak to you, talk to you about how to prepare yourself, what you're doing correctly out there on the court, and can give you constructive criticism. It seems like, when you have your peers there, you're always looking for affirmation more so from your peers than the coaching staff. And so when those guys have confidence and faith in you, it makes you a better player.
Absolutely. And Harrison Barnes, the lone Spurs player that has won an NBA championship. So that's saying a lot. Sean, stick around. We'll be right back with you.
Next to that video. Today, we came to Butler Pitch and playing a little golf.
One thing about us is no matter what we're doing, we're always competitive. And people thought that the rain would stop us, the mud would stop us, but it didn't.
You get to enjoy the time, play some golf, which a lot of guys don't play, which I know I don't. It's just fun to see how people turn out.
It is nice. Sometimes you can take a break from the court, a little bit of a mental break, still being active, but not be too harsh on our bodies. And I think it's just good for camaraderie. We get to learn more about each other.
I'm out here giving them lessons of how to hit the driver and how to putt and just,
trying to make everybody on my team a better golf player. You know what I mean? And just, golf is a confidence thing. It ain't about how hard you hit it. It's about how smooth it is and how compact your form is. You feel me?
He's in that phase right now of life, and he likes to talk.
I get hated on every day, man, but that's life. I love life.
How is it been adjusting from college?
Definitely an adjustment. I mean, the game's faster, 24-second shot clock. Dudes are better. Dudes are bigger, faster, stronger. I feel like there's more space on the court, so it's a little bit easier to get to your spots, a little bit easier to get off a good shot. So it's a little bit of both. And for me, it's just the number of games. That's an adjustment. I mean, college, you play once or twice a week. Now you're playing 3-4 times. I mean, we got a back-to-back today. We never really did that in college. So for me, it's just adjusting to the games. I feel like we all play hard. We all want to win. So whether that's defense, rebounding, diving on the floor, making an extra pass, we all do it. And we always want to, do whatever it takes for the win.
Good catching up with the Austin Spurs as the NBA G League season continues. And we continue Spurs Live. Dan Weiss, Madison Hawk. And it is without question the one sport, golf, that humbles Madison, even the best of professional athletes.
Absolutely, and I can't critique any of those swings because mine is not very good at all. I looked at you and said, do you golf? And you said, somewhat.
Terribly.
I think that's just the common theme, right? Is anyone actually that good at golf?
Yes, professional golfers. Let's take a look here at the end of the Spurs rodeo road trip, which is coming to an end. And, of course, this one started all the way back, Madison, at the beginning of February. The Spurs jetted off to Memphis, and then it was through the Southeast. And wrapping up before the All-Star break in Washington and Boston, and now coming out of the break with the 2 games in Austin as part of the I-35 series. New Orleans will be in Houston tomorrow night, and then they'll finish where they started in Memphis against those Grizzlies.
I remember when we were working that Memphis game together. That feels like forever ago, and it was the same road trip. I know that the Spurs are ready to be home, back on their home court, but they've done a great job just taking it one game at a time. As you take a look up there at the road ahead, the remaining schedule, it's not really going to get that much easier as well.
Yeah, 6 back-to-back still, including one tonight and tomorrow in Houston. In fact, the Spurs actually still have the most miles to travel of any team in the NBA. Now, Madison, this tonight is game 2 of this 2-game, what I like to call mini baseball-style series. This is what the NBA instituted coming out of the COVID season in 21-22. So now this is 4 years worth of kind of data. And, what I've learned here is you see this is what we've had out of the 26 that have been conducted so far this year. There really isn't as much of a home court advantage to these baseball series. In fact, only 32% of the series have been swept by the home team out of over 250 of them.
Wow. That's a great stat there. Yeah, I do like the baseball series, though, because I do think it gives a team time to just set up somewhere, catch their breath. As much as the Spurs want to be back in San Antonio right now, they did have a time to just kind of take a breath on being on a flight every single night of what it's felt like for them over this rodeo road trip. But I do kind of like the baseball series. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it.
I don't mind it. I actually think the players, I think management does like it because it reduces travel. It's a long 82-game season, especially if you park yourself in a great city like New Orleans.
Yep.
And you can spend, 4 days basically there. To your point, I think it's good on this back end of the rodeo road trip as well as the Spurs catch their breath before the home stretch in Houston tomorrow and in Memphis on Saturday before they come back to the Frost Bank Center to meet those Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday evening. Jacob Toby, Sean Elliott, they've got the call for you from Smoothie King Center. We're back at the half and after the game to wrap it all up in Spurs Live. Enjoy it right here on FanDuel Sports Network.